When you get to tier 8, you're going to experience the first autoloader on a heavy tank. Autoloaders load 4 to 6 shells in a magazine and can fire these in rapid succession. If people have never met autoloaders before, the common reaction is cheater, but the downside to these tanks is a long reload time in between each magazine. As you should have noticed by now, these heavy tanks are quite fast and very mobile. To compensate for having a great damage output, great speed and maneuverability, the French heavy tanks have no armor whatsoever. But with great speed comes great responsibility. You're a very big asset to your team, as you can quickly take out nearly any tier 8 tank on the enemy team with a fully loaded magazine. Therefore, you should never be first in line and be the first target the enemy sees, as most guns aiming at you will be able to penetrate. So back up and wait for your team to arrive, so they can distract the enemy, which will then lead to you being able to unload your magazine into the enemy more carefully. I know it's very tempting to roll forward with a fully loaded magazine, especially when you know that you can take out an IS-3 in one clip. And I even bounced on it once, so an IS-3 plus change is what you can do with this monster. Peeking over this ridge in particular gives you a perfect shot at the enemies coming down south, and it also lets you roll back into cover quite fast. This Type 59 spotted us, and we're now in a dangerous position as Arty can hit us here, so we have to move. As we're in the open, finding cover is close to impossible, so find the most vertical piece of rock or sand to give the Arty a hard time. Reading the minimap and seeing what your team is doing gives you vital information. They're pushing southwest, yet no tanks down south has been spotted. This lets us know that we can safely move over this ridge and start fighting the Type 59, as there will be no enemies supporting him. Spotting a T-30 in the distance at full HP leads me to pressing C, which is the reload magazine key. I had 2 shells in my magazine and would have been able to deal 600 damage to him, but there's highly likely more tanks down there, so I decided to reload. The distance between us also led me to the decision of reloading. It takes the AMX 5100 50 seconds to reload a magazine, and it would take me more than 20 seconds to get to the new targets anyways. So I decided to reload now instead of firing 2 shells, then having to wait 50 seconds before being able to deal more damage. Just a quick peek over the ridge, as there's no sense in showing yourself more than necessary when you don't even have shells in your magazine. Once again reading the minimap and seeing what's about to happen. The guys are pushing to my left, and once they do that, the enemies should start looking away from me, which gives me the perfect opportunity to empty my magazine into them for full damage. Some might argue why certain shells were used for certain tanks, and here's my list of priority. 1. AT-15A, the only enemy looking my way. 2. The SU-122-44 reloads faster than the T-30 and deals 390 damage per shell. 3. T-30, slow reloader and the target that everyone else seemed to go for. Removing distractions, smaller tanks, from the main priority of the team as a whole is a good thing, as it'll leave fewer tanks to concentrate on. Reading the minimap once more. I know you might get tired of hearing this, but it's one of the most fatal flaws when it comes to separating the good players from the great players. Some players might be great Rambo players, soloing a lot of enemy tanks on their own, but they forget to move to the correct locations to help the team win most efficiently. Knowing where the enemies are located and knowing where to go to be helpful are some of the most needed skills as a teammate. Knowing each individual map and how long some routes will take to traverse will also help you a lot when it comes to picking the right time to reload. I know for a fact that it'll take longer than a full minute to get to the enemies up north, so I start the reload as soon as possible. When we're this late in the game, I don't mind taking a shot to the face by enemies, which I also know will die to my autoloader, so all my concentration goes into aiming. Early in the game, I would only let an enemy hit me if I knew he was going to die and I wasn't left on half HP for the rest of the battle. Never let yourself get crippled for the sake of a single kill in the early stages of a battle. You might need that HP later.